A very, very warm good evening or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. A little earlier than usual. This is Arunfoot Chaudhary. You are live on my YouTube channel, Arunfoot. It is Sunday, July the 13th, 2025. And it's another Indian football discussion to talk about the Indian women's national team, to talk about the status of the Indian Super League. It's the FIFA Club World Cup final tonight between Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain, and we'll talk about other things as well. As I always say, do throw me your questions. I'll try and answer them as directly and honestly as possible. And of course, if you like the video, like the conversation, leave a like behind, share it with other people, and if you are new to the channel, do subscribe to it, and let's keep on growing the community. We're at the moment at 2,767 subscribers, so thank you very, very much, everybody, so that we can go on. And also, I did something which I was requested by a few Bengali friends over the last few days, that, especially all these things that are happening in the ISL, to do a Bangla version on the ISL on hold topic. And I did a longer explainer video in Bengali. So if you are from Kolkata, or if you are from Bengal, understand Bengali, you want to listen to it, do listen to that. And tomorrow, actually, I had prepared something for today, which was about the Indian women's national team and their preparations. That I will publish tomorrow. So also do watch those videos. And thank you, as always. Any hope on ISL this season is the question of Vipul. Vipul, to me, if you ask me at the moment, at the percentage level, I would say 60%. It's not going to happen. 40%, it's going to happen. That is my personal feeling at this moment in time, because there are a lot of factors. First of all, the Supreme Court has to decide on the AIFF constitution and so-called elections. What does that mean in regard to FIFA stepping in, I think, is another question. Could we face another FIFA ban with the Supreme Court involved? There's a lot of questions that one needs to ask here in this scenario. And the question is, how can this problem that persists at this moment in regard to league be solved? I once more want to go back to the letter of Football Sports Development Limited, of FSDL, where they clearly state, given the situation, we regret to inform you that we're currently not in a position to proceed with the 25-26 ISL season and are placing it on hold until further clarity emerges on the contractual structure beyond end of current MRA term. They assure you that this decision has not been taken lightly. So this is, I think, for me, very, very important to read. I know a lot of people are speculating on the net, are saying, you know what, they will sort it out. There is no problem. So therefore, for me, the question is, we'll have to wait and see. So therefore, there's the issue of Supreme Court, so let's wait and see what happens. Avika Singh joins Danish top-tier club. She plays for our women's team in 2018. Krisman Chetri and whoever we were the coach, if we should have her in national team plans. First of all, she has not joined a top-tier club. She's joined a second-tier club in Denmark. First point. 1 second, which club was it? Right. So she's joined a second-tier club. Næst ved Hage in the second tier of Danish football. That's one. And two, she's never played for our women's team. She was part of the India under-15 SAF team, right? At the time. And she will have to prove herself in Denmark, because I think in the last 3 years that she was in America, she's played 3 matches. In 3 years, she's played 6 matches or something. That's the stats. So therefore, I wish her all the best. But to say that she has to be part of the plans without even knowing what standard she is and how many matches she's played, XYZ. This is exactly the problem, that when people call for XYZ player to be called up to the national team, even on the men's side, without even knowing what the standard of the player is. If she plays regularly, invite her for a camp and see if she's good enough, right? If good enough, she gets in. If not good enough, she goes back to Denmark and play. This is how it's done, right? There is no demand that can be placed that she should be there or someone else should be there, because we don't know. I don't know what her standard is. Do you know what her standard is? So therefore, this has to be remembered. I wish her the best. I hope she makes it in Denmark and even gets to higher levels of football, because that would be great for Indian football. But at the moment, is she an option for the Indian national team? I would not be able to tell. And I think nobody else would be able to tell, because nobody knows what the standard of her is, right? Reality check of things. Vipul says, I feel this is the last phase of difficult times in Indian football. The best things are on the way. Vipul, I hope you're right. So therefore, I hope you're right. That's the most I can say. My feeling is we might face even more difficult times in the weeks and months to come, and then might get into better times. So therefore, I honestly, I don't know if that's the phase that we are gonna get into. I said last week Saturday, once India had beaten Thailand, let's celebrate this win. Let's enjoy for this moment that India has qualified for the AFC Women's Asian Cup. Let's enjoy this, because we faced hard times. We are facing even harder times, and the situation might get even worse. If it is true what you're saying, I would be more than happy. But I think going forward, it is likely to get a little bit tougher than it is. And maybe after that, we might, move into a better phase. That's my concern. And therefore, I hope things change. Yeah, my bad. Many YouTubers and reports are spreading info like she plays in top tier and she played for us in 2018. XYZ, that's why I say, I said yesterday to a lot of people, right? To me, because it is very, very dangerous, because people are passing on information without knowing it, right? That's why I checked with someone in the US and asked someone, who knows college soccer very, very well. He was not aware of the name. So and then, he did some digging and said, oh, we know what she played 6 matches in 3 years. And that is the problem, right? I think those who wanted to spread the information have spread it properly. I know that people have clearly stated that she has played, he's played, yes, under 15 India in the SAF championship. That's what she's played. Then went to Spain, trained there. From there, went to an American university, went to Irvine, and from there is now going to the Danish second division. And as I've said, I wish Avika all the best, that she succeeds, that she goes on to represent us in the future. But I'm not too sure. Because why? I have seen a lot of names being thrown around, men's and women's, in regard to playing abroad, having the quality, and there was or there is a question mark on the same. So therefore, I'm very, very, how do I say, controlled on such an opinion. I don't just go out and say, yeah, you know what, XYZ is going to make it. So therefore, that's one of those topics where I'm very, very careful these days, because I know that a lot of names are being thrown around, and a lot of people are talking about those things. And it's something where we need to be careful which is there, and I'm very, very careful of the same. Do you think she can contribute for us as the team? She's playing for a team that's gotten relegated this year. I know. I don't know enough about her. Angry Birds, I think I know as much as you do. As you say, she's playing for a team which got relegated to the second tier of Danish women's football. And I don't even know if she's intended to be a first team player. Is she intended to be a squad player? Might she even go and play for their reserve team? None of us know, right? It is someone who put out yesterday, oh, you know what? This Indian girl is signing for this Danish second tier club. That's it. And if you then start digging a little, which a lot of people sadly don't do, right? We need to, this is the old journalist in me, is that before I put out a piece of information about someone, I need to know who that person is, right? We've been speaking about certain players going here, there, everywhere, and none of these boys have, and I speak especially about the boys, have regularly been playing in those respective leagues to say, you know what, they should be, considered. And so therefore, I hope, as I said, she makes it. I hope that she gets to play. And if she plays, that's hopefully going to be good news for us. I belong to Rajasthan. I've been following Indian football for 5 years. Could you please tell us if there's any contribution from Rajasthan in Indian football? You are very senior. You might know. Vipul, yes, in the 70s, there used to be a striker called Magan Singh from Rajasthan who was very, very successful. So that is what comes to mind. You have the Hindustan Zinc Football Academy, which is trying to produce players. That's a good thing. You've got, of course, Rajasthan United. I think those are the things that you might know that are happening now. But if you talk about older days, I've never seen Magan Singh play, to be very honest to you, but I've interacted with him in the past. Yeah, I did. Or didn't I? Wait 1 second before I say something wrong. Magan Singh. One second, let me just check. I'm just myself getting confused. I think I interacted. Did I interact with him? I didn't interact. 1 second. If I'm not wrong, I did interact with him at the AIFF once. I think I did, yes. That would be the name that comes to my mind. You're welcome. There are some quite good young prospects of Indian origin, but I'm not sure if I would be able to feel the same joy I would have felt if our local lads did. Angry Birds, I would say wrong approach. If you're thinking this way, I would say it's a wrong approach. And I'll tell you why. Because an origin player or a local player, to me, doesn't make a difference, right? To me, I think the important thing is if you have someone of quality going to represent you, right? And whoever plays for the Indian national team or is eligible and is allowed to play for the Indian national team, to me, doesn't make a difference. If a player is of origin, or if someone is of or holds an Indian passport, right? So therefore, for me, or is, so to say, as you say, a local boy. But to me, I said that makes no difference, and therefore, for me, I would always say it's. I see it, I would actually see it the other way around, because I am someone of origin, right? If you ask me, I'm someone of origin, and if you ask me, how do I see it in regard to origin players and players in who are sort of locally born. I sometimes feel that I think and I believe that there are players who are more, going to be fighting for the India badge than someone who might be local. So, our own experience. Your thoughts on the FC Goa new foreigners? Doesn't look good on paper. Who do you think will work out? Augusto, I thought the signings are not bad, but the point is that Uday and also Carl McHugh have left a certain standard which the new foreigners need to fulfill. Paul Moreno looks good. Interesting to see that they've gone, the foreigners that they did, also with David Timor in midfield. But yeah, it would be interesting to see. I mean, Timor, product of Valencia, we're very interesting to see with in combination with Dejan Drazic, Borja Herrera, Iker Guruchan and Javi Severio. It's a very interesting mix, very Spanish. I mean, 5 Spaniards and 1 player from the Balkans. So therefore, for me, will be very interesting to see. The problem is, I think, for this team will be, if the things are going as per planned, how will they prepare themselves for that AFC Champions League 2 playoff with no competitive matches before that? So Al-Seeb have certainly an advantage over FC Goa potentially on that. But the players will have to prove. Yes, you're right. To me, Uday and McHugh have been amongst the best foreigners in the last few years in the league. And the new ones will have to prove if they're as good or maybe even better. Today, Zach Shoaib, midfield of Indian English as well as Nigerian origin, signed for Real Sociedad B. Zach Shoaib is not of English origin. He's born in England, but his father is Nigerian and his mother is Spanish Indian origin. So therefore, going to Real Sociedad. So therefore, that's that. And on the other side, will be very, very interesting to see how he fits in. Has a lot of options, but as long as we as India don't have, as long as we don't have options, so to say, to sort ourselves out with nationality, then it's no point of discussing origin players per se and saying, hey, we need to target this player, that player. We don't have any, we don't have any slot open at the moment on that front. I thought you were an NRI, so if I hurt your feelings, I would try to change my thinking process. But it's not about your thinking process. It's just I'm born in Germany, brought up in Germany. So I am of origin. And if you ask me, I have a feeling that as an overseas Indian, I felt sometimes I was more loyal than people who are living in India. That's my feeling. And I also feel with the players I've spoken, if they want to play, we would get quality into our system. So therefore, I hope we get players in at some stage. Any information about who new applied for national team men's head coach? Anupam, I've been hearing a lot of coaches have applied. I don't even know if it's true or not. I know that some got in touch with me, but again, I know that the ones who got in touch with me, I'm not going to put out their names, as I don't do with anything on these fronts, except if they're fine with it. So therefore, not putting out any names. But I know that, yes, there have been quite a number of coaches who have applied And that's it. Where to watch U20 women match live? Oh, Indian Football Scout. Good question. I would have thought Uzbekistan football, right? But I don't see anything on Uzbekistan. This one is check one thing. Second. Let me just check if the AIFF mentioned anywhere. Okay. The two teams are mutually agreed that the match will be played behind closed doors and it will not be streamed. Okay. There is no streaming of the game available. So the match is being, the match is being played behind closed doors and no streaming, as Anupam says. So therefore, there is nothing. So who has the best overseas players among SAF? If you ask me who are playing, at the moment, I would say Sri Lanka. If I look at the ones they're using, Bangladesh have some good ones, but they have to still get all of them onto the field. Pakistan have also some good ones. I think we have some very, very good ones, but we're not using them. So, but it is most probably between Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and us. But Sri Lanka seem to be ahead of us. Hi, Blue. Yes, early discussion today. I have to actually leave around 9:30 Indian time. So therefore, I thought I'd do something a little earlier. I won't even do something around the final of the FIFA Club World Cup. Thought of doing a live watch along, but I won't be able to do that. So therefore, doing this live a little earlier just to discuss with you guys on what's all happening, or rather not happening in Indian football. As always, always an interesting discussion these days at the moment, what's all happening, what's not happening. So that's very, very crazy. Pippin signed East Bengal FC for a high salary. I heard Imam is still putting money. I'm surprised. Look, all of this was done despite knowing that the ISL might not be played. So be it Imami, be it also Mr. Goenka, be it some other teams as well, yeah, they've committed to it. Now the question is, what will happen? Because I think this is very simple. It's a domino effect. This was the first step of Reliance saying, you know what, we're putting it on hold. Let the AIFF sort itself out, and then we will once more discuss either with the current or the new regime what to do, not to do. But if, for example, the Supreme Court say that the ownership of the league has to be with the federation, which is in violation of FIFA regulations, I think Reliance are out. They're not going to come back. That's why I've said July 11, 2025 might be the day that the ISL died. As sad as that would be, that is a sadly a realistic danger in my mind. And I don't think that the judges, the justices in the Supreme Court are aware that they are playing with the livelihoods of thousands of people in the Indian football ecosystem. I don't think they're aware. No one has made them aware. No one has made them aware that this is not the way to run it. So this shows you that this whole case does not work. I mean, this comes on top of everything that's happening. So therefore, yeah, on the slap, I said it yesterday, on the slap that the International Olympic Committee has given to the Indian Olympic Association last week in Lausanne. India's talking about 2036, and they said, listen, sort your house out, sort out your governance, sort out doping, and then come back to us, right? Has anyone really honestly reported about that in India? You have always chosen to speak the truth, even when it is harsh. I depend from previous statement once again. So, Angry Birds, I'm not angry with you. I'm fine. I've just explained to you what my personal feeling is, and I know from OCI players that they have that same feeling towards India, right? So therefore, this is what I'm trying to carry. I have a feeling on the men's team that we've got players who've not really haven't been pushing themselves to the best of what is needed of them or needed from them, right? So therefore, that is something which I've, it's something which is, I feel, very, very worrying, to say the least, right? Federation owning league is so stupid and unrealistic. Blue, we have moved away from it, but we have not moved in the direction which we need to move to be able to take the next step, and that is something which is why I am skeptical of courts getting involved in these kind of matters. And yeah, that's it. Essentially killing the sport forever. Yeah. At the moment, the Supreme Court is not helping Indian football, and this is something that needs to be carried to the Supreme Court and told to the Supreme Court. With all respect, that gentlemen, so please give yourself into saving Indian football actively, because we fans don't have knowledge and capability to fight. Vinod, the point is that I will do whatever I can for Indian football, and I've done actively in 2022 things. I explained to a lot of people what should, needs to be done. Very simply, they did not do it. We were banned by FIFA because of that, and I will try and do. So therefore, let's wait and see. Saw a recent video by Sam Anand on football in Northeast. If you happen to watch that, what do you think? No, I've not seen it, sorry. The gist is Assam sending 70 players to Spain, Meghalaya already sent to Germany, if I'm not wrong. Is this going to be the norm going forward, by state affairs put together a team and send them to exposure tours in Europe? Anupam, I'm not a fan of these. Sort of, let me put something together, right? I've even got, I think in Delhi, they put a team together which they're sending to the Gothia Cup, right? What's the value? What is before and after? What are you doing with these kids? Is there a plan behind it, or is it a PR tour, or is it even, are there other motives behind it? For me, that is the big question behind all of these, right? The question is how, if we're doing these, what is the value of these trips? What is the value of the players? Are we getting talent out of this? Are we able to build something out of this? So therefore, I don't know what the strategy is of Assam or of Meghalaya. Meghalaya seems to be spending a lot of money. I'd love to get into a conversation with Conrad and Sangma about this. I mean, we've interacted in the past, and say, what are you trying to do, right? What is the end game, right? You're investing a lot, and let's wait and see. Hi, Methamphetamine. I'm fine. Wish we could have watched India U20 women today. Really excited about what Joachim as coach will put on table. Yeah, again, but this is also something that as fans you have to respect, when the two coaches speak to each other and say, listen, you know what? I want to try out something. I don't want actually also my opponents to see us play. That's also something that I think that is the reason why they've decided to do a closed door match. And Joachim Alexanderson is someone, could be a new Thomas Dennerby, right? Blue adds, and Supreme Court verdict is very notorious to reverse, as only Supreme Court can reverse it. OCI is not allowed is because of a court verdict. If my info is correct, in sports, not related passport, not required passport. Yeah, very true. It was tennis was the topic of contention at the time. Surely if you look at where Indian tennis is in the year 2025 and where it was in the 2000s, Indian tennis is not as good as it used to be. We had world-class players. Now we're nowhere near, right? We're happy if a player even gets close to the top hundreds in the men's, and I don't know what the ranking is of the best Indian female at this moment in time. But if the Supreme Court does what it looks like it will do with the AIFF constitution, it is clearly overstepping its remit, right? And then FIFA steps in, and then, God save us, I don't know. Very difficult to say what will be the next step. That's my concern if I look at what's happening at this moment in time. Right, 31 minutes. Quick reminder to all of you, if you haven't, like, share, and subscribe. 8 likes so far. I think we can do better. And share with other people to join into our conversations. And of course, also subscribe to the channel and watch the shorter videos that I make. Yesterday, of course, made something on the AIFF, on the ISL, FSDL, putting the ISL on hold. And today, I'm requested by a few people to do the same in Bengali. So I made a Bengali version of it, or my Bengali English version of it, rather, Benglish. Those who are Bengali, hopefully you watch it and hopefully it is fine and it's good enough as an explainer video. Namaskar, namaste, Jai Hind, good evening. How are you, Arunji? Hypermaster 823, I am okay. My hand is still recovering, not fully fit. Still got my issues with a serious muscular tear, but otherwise things are okay. I think things are better with me than they are with Indian football at this moment. Very, very disturbing, to say the least, where we are at this moment in time. Blue says, and the funny part is probably FIFA steps in is the best option at the moment. Blue, I have been thinking the same. I have to sadly say, normally FIFA stepping in my opinion, is not the best. So therefore, I'm not sure. My concern is where we stand at this moment in time, and looking at the AIFF, looking at men's football national team league structure, looking at funding, and I take the women's out because that's been one of the few positives in the last few weeks and months. I think a FIFA intervention, a ban, a normalization committee, a forced restructuring of things, that is, I think, what is needed. And that's the sad part, because I feel that this change that we need within Indian football most likely will not come from within Indian football, right? That it will most likely come from outside of Indian football. And yeah, that's where the challenge lies at this moment in time to me, that how can we really improve in a way that we can challenge the others, very simply said. Hatamaster says, I'm deeply concerned about Indian women's team. Like SC in 2023, we play FC but lose with Australia and other Asian teams currently. Australia is upwards. God, please qualify women to FIFA World Cup. Like men's play, AFC lose with Australia and other AFC teams, and out I'm concerned, same with women's. I understand, Hypermaster, where you're coming from. And if we think that Australia, Uzbekistan, Syria were too good for us in the men's game, then Australia, Japan, North Korea. Those are the North Korea, Japan, and Australia are the top three in the AFC women's rankings at this moment in time. Then the gulf between these teams and us is even higher than in the men's game. And I go back to Odisha FC versus Urawa Red Diamonds women's AFC Champions League. It was a 17-0. Reality. These are just facts. So for us to go into this conversation, we have to be prepared. I'm doing a short video tomorrow morning on the preparations that the AIFF proposed. I think, and I believe it is better than one could have thought from an AIFF perspective. But the reality is, depending if we get as I said, North Korea, Japan, or Australia will be in the group. I fear especially North Korea. And I fear also China and South Korea. And especially, no, actually China more in the second pot. So if we get North Korea and China, our first aim has to be to keep those games below double digit. Might sound pessimistic, might sound negative, but that's the reality. And then, depending on who we face in the third pot, then we can think about the FIFA Women's World Cup. Right? That's my concern. That's my honest concern. Because it sounds so easy. Get a win here, get a win there, and then we are in the Women's World Cup. It isn't so easy. Let's see. Can you inform us who brought in Supreme Court in this case? Because it's a very long case. So what is the timeline? Blue, 2017-18, a certain Ranjit Bajaj, a certain Novi Kapadia, and if I'm not wrong, even Jaideep Basu were part of, I don't know who filed the case in the end, but these three gentlemen were involved in this. Yeah, that's what I know. The plan AIFF gave out for the Indian women's team, do you think that shows AIFF stick to Crispin Chetri? Roshan, at the moment, it looks to me like it. And as I've said, I would prefer, if possible, either to use Joachim, who's already there with the under-20s, to get some different kinds of inputs, because some of the under-20s are going to be also playing, or get someone as a mentor involved. And I know Thomas Dennerby directly comes to mind, right? So therefore, for me, that would be very interesting to see, because I have also not seen anything in regard to where Thomas Dennerby at the moment is actually working. I see that after coaching India, he's not done anything. Let me just check if I've got something about him. Is Thomas Dennerby? Okay, so I don't see any information where Thomas Dennerby is at the moment. But Thomas Dennerby would be an interesting one, in my opinion, if we're looking at someone as a mentor to come in with the knowledge, understanding that he has of the Indian women's football scene circuit. I think he would be a good someone to bounce off ideas for Crispin. It would be great if you could interview Assam and Meghalaya State FA's president. Botnava and Conrad seem to be media friendlies from what I've seen. Anupam, try. Again, I've got a lot of ideas for interviews and stuff, but it's sometimes very, very tough to get it into my schedule. But I surely I will. I have it in, let's put this, I have it in mind, and I just have to try and figure out how I put it into my schedule. And yeah, let me see if and when, that's the thing. We Indians don't want saturation point of women's team. Oh, Hypermaster, I know what you're trying to say with that. it is tricky to say the least. But I would hope that that our women in team try and fight as they did in the qualifiers. Football wise, as I said, teams from pot 1, pot 2 are going to be way too strong for us. So it's going to be about fight and grit and passion. That's going to be the key thing. But let's see. I would love to see if I can make it to Australia. I really want to try. I've never been to Australia, so maybe that's a reason for me to head down under. And yeah, let's wait and see. Can we trust AIFF in this plan? Adi, yes, I would. Because it's nothing complex, because it's not too complex. It is focusing on the basics. And yeah, I welcome that they preponed the IWL in a way so the women get into the season, play competitive matches in the league, and then after that they move on and or at the start, in between, and after that have 3 camps. So therefore, yeah, this is not too complex. The question is, of course, I hope they're going to get good funding from the government. I think that's going to be the thing. Now it's on Kalyan and Satya as the acting secretary as the deputy general secretary, that those two sort those things out and get the support from the government. Because I don't know what you guys think. I felt I am disappointed in regard to the media attention and the support from the corporate world that the women's team got, because it was a big zero. There was a message from the sports minister, very nice, good to have. I think 1 or 2 reports in mainstream media. That was it. That was the support. And that is not good enough. So therefore, I think the AIFF has a key job to do, a big PR job, so therefore, let's wait and see. Hi, Uchut. Hope you're able to watch the next women national team U20 match live. I completely understand the closed door concept. Me too, but, to me, the coach needs to see, needs to try out things. And I think closed door international friendlies are also important. That. How do you think the AIFF plan for the women's calendar will make issues for East Bengal in the FC Women's Champions League? Roshan, in the sense of, I think that some Indian internationals will miss some of the training with the national team and will play continental competitions. I think that's the only thing that there is. And let's see. I mean, East Bengal has gotten into a very interesting group. It's not the strongest. So let's see how far they can go. We see in 2023-24 the saturation point of men's team lose a simple group, Afghanistan, Qatar. I forgot. And we lose this group and go in next 3rd round, and we stopped at 2nd round. Kuwait was the 3rd team. And if you are telling me this was a simple group, Hypermaster, and I can't agree to that, because this is the reality, right? And so therefore, 3rd round was an option. But if you're saying that this was a simple group, then you don't know what the quality of the Indian national team was. I saw India live in 2023. How do you see Avika Singh signing for Danish club? Is a women more competent in men's in international arena? Anupam, we spoke about it at the start. XYZ asked me a few questions about it, because she signed for a 2nd-tier club in Denmark. She was in Irvine at the University of Irvine in America before that. She has to prove something. I don't know how good she is. Honestly, I don't. If anyone knows how good she is, let me know. But I've not seen her play. I don't know how good or bad she is. She signed there. That's great. But she's played. If the information that I've been given, she's played 6 matches in 3 years in the US. If that information is right, that doesn't speak that she has had a lot of match experience. It is easier to get into Europe for female footballers, very, very clearly. And let's see how good she is. Her last interaction with the India setup was at the under-15s, where she won the SAF U15 girls tournament. I wish her the best, and I hope we hear a lot of her in the near future. Yeah, the sports minister invited some girls and boys on peer level who went for training in Austria, but the women's team just get a social media post. That's the point, Roshan, right? That is where Kalyan Chaube and the AIFF need to act. That is where they need to push and say, hey guys, you know what, we did this, even tag the prime ministers, tag the sports ministers, tag other ministers, tag chief ministers of states where, women's football is there. Push the agenda, right? This is a huge achievement. Sir, is India really gone down in ranking amongst visa approval? Mark, I don't know. Again, I have a German passport, so I don't know what the status is in regard to India's visa approval rating. At least the women national team players with East Bengal get some extra international exposure due to its engagements. Yeah, that's also true, Achut. And rather than training, playing matches is always good, and they will have to face tough matches, so that's good. All the exposure that the girls can get before match is good, because the quality that they will face is X times better than what they normally do. So that is also a fact. ISA image getting down. Mayank, I think the image of India was never as high as the government or people have tried to make you all think. I think India's image has been always somewhere in the middle, and they've been selling it that it's top notch. And I think a lot of people are realizing it. As I said, with the Olympics 2036, at the moment, is happening everywhere but in India. It's going to be very difficult with what the IOC said the other day. And that's a slap on the face of the IOA and of India and the government. And I think that should be talked about. Why is it the case that India has been told, guys, you need to do much more. You need to improve your governance, be better in the Olympics, look at diaspora, and of course, with doping. All those facts are there. We stopped at second round, we lose AFC in men's, and now the current condition men's, we have failed a friendly men's team, failed in qualifying and not enter in World Cup. Oh my God, may God miracle do. Hypermaster, we were never close to the World Cup. To mention the World Cup in connection with the men's team is wrong, right? To me, that needs to be remembered. The Indian football men's national team, in my humble opinion, is not something that you should mention in connection with the FIFA World Cup, right? FIFA World Cup is far away from us, we could have made it. But again, if you get 1 point out of 6 against Afghanistan, you don't deserve to be in the third round of the qualifiers. And if you look at the state of our team at this moment, we most probably would have lost 10 matches. Also reality, if you want to accept it or not, right? Sir, according to you, what should be the right steps taken now to get Indian football back on track with the ISL and the men's team? With the men's team, it's simple. Appoint the right coach. As I've said, I want a foreign hand, a coach with 7, 8, maybe 10 years of international coaching experience, someone who has coached in difficult conditions. So that would be my thing, I think, for the men's national team. Someone who can sort out the team, sort out the dressing room as well. I think that's very, very important for us. And for the ISL, pray that the Supreme Court takes the right decision. I mean, that the Supreme Court is going to take a decision, that's clear. But my concern with the Supreme Court and its decision-making would be, do they understand what is their remit as the highest court of the land, that the law of sports stands above you? I don't think that's been understood. No one has told them. I would love to have an interaction with those judges, justices in the Supreme Court. And from a governance perspective, just explain to them how sports operates and runs. Yeah. So therefore, for me, that's the ISL risk. And if they say that the ISL needs to be run by the AIFF, you know, it might be the end of the road. If you ask me today, 60-40 would be my saying that the ISL will not happen. I'm wishing that it will, but if you ask me today, given the scenario, this is where we're stuck. Aditi Chauhan playing for Shribhumi since last season. Is she performing enough to get a national team call? Uchut, I have not watched Aditi in her matches enough to be able to judge if she is. The question is not only Aditi, is just a general question. Should we consider the senior batch again, or do we leave them out and give the younger players a chance? Do we keep Aditi out? Do we keep Ashalata out? Do we keep Dalima out? Do we keep Bala Devi out? I don't know. For that, I've not watched enough women's football over the last year to be able to make that call or judgment. That has to be made by people who watch women's football on a regular basis. Maybe Roshan can answer that, who I think watches much more women's football than any of us were in this live stream at the moment. So Roshan, if you want to answer that, please do. So therefore, yeah. But in the Thailand game, there were these moments where I was not convinced with Panthoi. Let me put it this way. So therefore, we were shaky in defense. Sometimes you had Sanju playing as a left back where you realize she's not a natural left back. A lot of questions. When can be the new coach announcement be expected? Will it be after the senior verdict? Navneet, I have no idea. As with everything else, the current AIFF has put out an ad for the job. But the question is, when will the Supreme Court verdict be? That's the point. Chetan is also asking that. I don't know, Chetan. The Supreme Court opens tomorrow. It's not been listed for the moment. So therefore, I thought it would be sort of next week, could be at some stage, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, maybe might be a decision coming, a verdict, but that's not clear. So the question is, what comes first? I don't know if India is actually preparing for the September window, FIFA window, to play friendly matches against anyone. That's the other question that someone needs to look at. And then, I would hope that the decision is made in the next 4 weeks, that a coach can come in, and I don't know what he's going to look at. Is he going to look at the Duran Cup? Is he going to call up 50 players for a camp? Because the ISL is not starting, before November, maybe December, before Jan? I don't know, right? So there's a lot of questions, a lot of queries. Iran women about to beat Bhutan 7-1 in the AFC Women's Asian Cup qualifiers. So the dream run of Bhutan is set to end. Very sad. I mean, I was positively surprised. So let's see. I just going back to what we were discussing. Roshan saying, considering last few years, I guess Bala and Ashalata could be helpful considering AFC Women's Asian Cup. Maybe even Manisa Panna or Aditi Chauhan, Shreya Huda from Udish FC missed due to injury. Thanks, Roshan. So that's the question, right? Manisa Panna, yeah, that's a name that I haven't heard for a while. Hey, Shaggy, welcome back. So that's the point, right? Who would make sense? Who brings that quality that we want, that we need? And that's going to be the big question, I think, for the team. And experience. I think, so therefore, will be interesting to see what happens. Which OCI player is sure to play for India if allowed? Some names, who are willing to play. Jan Danda has clearly said that publicly. Dylan Markande has said it as well. Danny Bath has told me personally. Shan Hundal has told me personally. Harpreet Gotra would be open to play for us. So yeah, it would be interesting to see. Yeah, there were others as well. I'm in London next week. I'll be at an event from the Desi Ballers, the South Asian football event, 15 years of Desi Ballers at West Ham United. I'll be meeting the one or the other player most probably, and we'll have a conversation. Even female players. I think that is something which has not been discussed. So therefore, for me, that is another discussion. Can you fast track the whole OCI discussion? Because you can say, listen, with maybe 3-4 players, you could take India to a Women's World Cup. I would love to see German-born Manju Wilde, former under-20 FIFA World Cup winner for Germany. Manju playing at Sporting Braga at the moment could be an asset. And therefore, let's see what happens. 5 World Cup win Brazil, current condition very intense. Can Brazil bounce back and win 6th World Cup? Theoretically, yes, but Brazil are in a huge, huge hole, I would call it nicely. Shaggy says Panther is first choice because of her skills. Next up is Payal, who did a good job for Gokulam Kerala FC. Shreya is the normal second choice, but she's injured. Yeah, but Shaggy, you and Roshan are better on this, and maybe I should do a podcast with you guys at some stage and discuss this. That Banthai looked shaky to me in that second half against Thailand. So therefore, let's wait and see. Let's see what happens. Wow, Desi Ballers, hope you talk to Rupkar, Bath, and Kira Rai. Shaggy, I'm not sure who is coming. There are certain people coming. I know that and so let's wait and see who turns up. But again, it's a topic which I will raise in the UK on Wednesday evening at West Ham at the 15th anniversary of Desi Ballers, and so yeah. So therefore, that's the point to me. Let's wait and see. But it's a topic which I want to raise certainly, and I will also raise with Shubhato as for the national team, Shubhato Pal, as well as the AIFF in general as well. My experience of watching international women's football, goalkeeper performance not up to the mark for many countries. Don't know whether the limitation is physical or skill based. Ochud, watching a lot of the Euros at the moment, I feel it's sometimes psychological. I don't even think it's a physical or a skill-based thing. Some of them are good, but they make howlers where you think, "Ooh, wow, why?" So for me, it's something which I'm not sure if that's the way that things need to move forward. So for me, yeah, that's an interesting one. I wish some experienced defender will consider Koshilki is used since years as centre back and contribute more in midfield where she could contribute more. I agree, Roshan. I think she's a waste as a centre back. That's why I said I don't know if Ashalata could be brought back, but I think Ashalata also gives them a certain level of stability as well. So why not? And yeah, let's see. I agree. Shilki needs to be in midfield, says Shaggy. Anupam says, was watching Shajintu with Vivek Sethia. He said ISL model is not a good product market fit as it was forced onto the audience through the sheer money, but into the marketing on the backdrop of IPL success. Do you agree with that? If so, then how do you envision a model that organically brings fans into stadiums? Anupam, I watched the video. I watched the interview which Vivek did with Shaji. I am of a different viewpoint to some extent, because again I was to some extent involved in the planning phase of the ISL, and then of course set up a franchise. we have to look at India as a market. And to me, India is a country but India as a country, as a sporting country, a lot of things are derived from cricket. And I do not agree with the point that Shaji raised, that to think of marquee players and stars and over the hill and whatever didn't work. I know that I had people coming to the stadium in Mumbai because I had Nicholas Anelka and Freddie Ljungberg in there. Nico surely performed, no doubt about it. Freddie was not fully fit. But those two were a key reason. Now, I was trying to build Shubroto Pal, Shubhas Singh, Nadong Bhutia, Raju Gaikwad as a local Mumbai boy, Rohit Mirza as a local Mumbai boy, as stars, right? It didn't click in the market. So it is always easy to have an outside view of these things and say, oh, this is how you would do it and all. Organically, to bring fans to a stadium, you would tomorrow have to play Lionel Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo in two teams. Doesn't matter which two teams. It doesn't even have to be the big two Kolkata clubs or even the Blasters. If even a smaller team signs one of those two, the stadium will be full. Period. It's not a question. Organically, to grow something in India, Shaggy is here, BFC fan. I thought BFC did very well organically over the years to slowly grow their fan base. But the second BFC was not, was not doing well. The same applies last season at Mumbai City. The fans are not coming. Mumbai City over the last few years post-COVID was nicely growing. Again, you'll say it's a smaller stadium. Yeah. So therefore, these are the things that these guys need to consider in these kind of conversations. And it's very easy to say that it's not working. And organically, India organically doesn't work. For example, Northeast United doing very, very well on the field, finally, right? But where's that organic growth of fans? I don't see that. These are realities. Welcome to Indian football. Dalima, Ashalata, Bala, Aditi, let all four be called up. We have time to try various things. I think, that's something that needs to be thought about, looked at, I feel, because those players have a level of quality. Experience is, I think, the key word to me that they bring. Big hurdles, Brazil win in match with Paraguay, I think, and enter in FIFA World Cup. Win, Brazil, try hard, win. Hypermaster, if you ask me, Brazil will be most probably a quarterfinal candidate. But at this moment in time, with all the problems that they have, they're not a candidate to win the World Cup. Particularly area balls in women's football going towards the goal, somehow many of them fumble. It not only fumble, it flies over their head, and if you would have said 5, 10, 15 years ago, but it's still the case, right? Coach Crispin is dropping the average age by moving away from players above 30. A very interesting trend I see in my opinion. Younger players were more fitter like Rimpa. Yes, they were, but Shaggy, is Rimpa Haldar someone that can play in the Asian Cup? Simple question. Just from a physical aspect, right? It's the same discussion we've had in the men's game about our wingers. Are they physically capable of playing against top-level Asian competition? And if I look at the Thailand game, I would have said there were 4 or 5 players who you cannot play in the Asian Cup. Yeah. And that is, I think, my thought process, my challenge in this is can they, the same problem we've had Manolo was not able to recognize which are the players that you need to compete at international level, right? And yeah, that's the thing. Did we make a mistake by not considering Park Hang-seo last time around when he was available? Shaggy, I've heard, again, if you speak to people in Vietnam, if you speak to people in South Korea, people will say, certain people will be praising him over the hill. There are others who are very, very critical of him as a coach. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure this idea of a concept of a coach like him, with the support he needs that he got in Vietnam, right? I heard from the Vietnamese Football Federation and how much support they gave him. I don't think that that level of support would be possible with the AIFF. Watching Euros last night, the absence of Pop, Oberdorf, and Berger's form as goalkeeper was concerning. Shaggy, I would say something different. I think Germany's finishing in the first 15 minutes or even 10 minutes was concerning. If Germany scored 3 goals in the first 6 minutes, which was possible, the game is done and dusted. Germany yesterday beat itself. Germany could have had a walk in the park against Sweden in the first 15 minutes, and that is football. You don't score out of nowhere. Sweden equalizes 12th minute? The second goal is comical, right? You clear and you hit the Swedish player and the ball goes in. The third one is unlucky with the penalty, and the game is done with the red card. So therefore, yeah, and Schüller with one or the other shot is Schüller needs to place the ball better. If Lea Schüller does it better, it's them. And yes, 100% Lena Oberdorf is a world-class player and someone who's been out for a year. You can't replace her, and that's the reality. Berger's form. Berger plays very dangerous football, right? If you look at Malefrom and others who were there in the past, especially in the high time of Nadine Angara, we've had different goalkeepers. So therefore, Ann-Kathrin Berger plays the way she plays, sadly. Ochud says, Marky, Robert Perez walks into the field carrying water bottles during a practice session. All Indian players and staff were surprised. A World Cup winner, but so humble. They are the things to learn from global stars. Ochud, I'll tell a nice story from the Mumbai City FC dressing room. We had Nico Nasanelka or Freddie, and they used to speak to the younger players. And I remember Nico and I had a specific conversation with Lalin Dika Ralte. Dika or Didika, he calls himself now. Dika is a player that I was fond of since I saw him under Trevor James Morgan at East Bengal. Before that, in the Indian Arrows and then for East Bengal. In that generation, clearly the best technical player. A lovely footballer, right? In training, Shubhra Pal rarely got to the ball. The guy could place a football like no other Indian footballer. But in the matches, he put so much pressure on himself that he never got to that level. He was even benched by Peter Reid sometimes because of that. And I remember Nico going up to him in the dressing room and explaining, and I was there and saying, hey, Arnav has been talking to you, blah, blah, he told me this, that. Explaining to him, try and play football. And this is something which if you don't know, this is what these guys can bring into a dressing room, And yeah, that's the reality. I have to be very honest. I used to long for your show and other Indian football related videos, but all what's going on now is forcing me to give up and move away. My interest isn't the same. It's sad. AIFF, especially now, stay committed to Indian football. I said that to people yesterday as well. Do not move away from Indian football. Be there. Ask questions. Ask questions left, right, and center. But also be clear what questions can you ask, what questions make sense to ask. Because I realized yesterday that if someone wants to have an informed opinion about Indian football, it is very difficult. And why? Very simple. Because the fan, as you are, how much do you know what's really happening behind the scenes? How much do the journalists know what's happening behind the scenes? How much do the content creators know behind what's happening behind the scenes? Why was I saying for the last 3-4 months the ISL will not happen as per the schedule? Because I know enough people within the Reliance setup who've told me that, right? I will not tell you who, but people have hinted to me that this is likely to happen, right? There's certain things that I can say, or I just realized thinking that these things are happening. But at this time, and the next 2 weeks will be very interesting. Let's see what happens in the Supreme Court, what happens in regard to the Interkashi case in CAS. Let's see what happens. Yeah, do not, none of you, my only request, none of you give up on Indian football. Because if you give up on Indian football, we've lost, right? We've lost, and because that's going to be very, very true. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see what happens. So therefore, AIFF, don't lose hope. Keep supporting Indian football. Maybe watch a little less here and there, but keep supporting Indian football and keep on asking the questions that you need to ask to people. As PR, you, Sergi, which type of coach can become parameter? Which type of coach is for men's team to be better and limited resources and do qualify for World Cup at least? Hypermaster, why you always come up with this whole World Cup thing? World Cup is not my criteria. I would love to be talking about, for us to be talking about and qualifying for a FIFA World Cup. But for us, at this moment in time, whoever comes in as a coach, his job is to be realistic, pragmatic, understand, sort out the dressing room, and get us to the Asian Cup. That is my hope. Nothing more, nothing less. Right? And I tell you why. If I am dreaming of a World Cup qualification, I am not in reality, right? So therefore, for me, we need to be realistic, and yeah, it is not easy. And therefore, for me, it is very, very important that we need to be clear that where we stand, where we are, how can we get better? For me, the World Cup is a big thing. Yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Removing marquee stars and glamour killed ISL's buzz. India needs football with flair, not a dry Euro copy. Bring back stars, showbiz, and spice. Make it a festival again, not just a league. M. I agree with you. But have the counter question, who's going to put in the money for that? I know what we paid for marquee players. Ridiculous amounts. The glitz, the glamour is what is needed. Yes, but who's going to pay for it? The clubs, the franchisees are losing money. And them losing too much money. Some of them are losing up to 40, 50 crores a year. That's the reality. The current problem is our men's team not assist goal and also need work hard in pitch, goalkeeping, defense, attacking, strength. Yeah, they need to work on everything. Irian said that AIFF and FSTO conversation MMA should have started and finalized 2 years ago. Do you agree with this take? What's the norm around the world in such a setting, if any? Anupam, I said that in conversations with Hiren, with Akshata, with Rahul when we used to speak us four on Sports Kabri. Hiren is just quoting what I said 2 years ago. I said 2 years ago, no? I said in July 2023, after the SAF championship victory, I mean, I watched the semi-finals and the final. Now's a good time for the AIFF to get into negotiations with FSTL, right? There is no norm around the world. It depends on how you do it. Some might even say, listen, we are 5 years, and we are 10 years into the contract, 5 years to go. It's going well. We extend by another 10, right? So after the first 10, you say, hey, listen, we've got another 15 years to go. But you normally should be around 2.5, 3 years before the end of the contract. You should start negotiations and figure out, are we fine with the current criteria? Normally, when you have a deal, you say, oh, you know what? The next deal, we should get a little bit more money or something. This was not even the topic that we were talking about. In Indian football, the topic was to keep the whole thing alive. So the point is that even now, when in March, FSDL gave the AIFF their proposal of saying, listen, we want to change. We want to move away from the current model of paying you 50 crores minimum to a proper league structure, 60% with the clubs, 16 with you, 24 with us. And according to that, profits will be shared. Good. Make a counter proposal. Don't say, hey, listen, we want 50 crores. We don't care about the rest. That's not a counter proposal. That is the problem with the AIFF. Shaggy asks, could you help chart a course for women's football with your experience? I feel that Indian football is not ready, but are only dreaming. Shaggy, yeah. But it is, Shubhrata is my number. Shubhrata is my former player. Shubhrata is someone I know since the age of 14, 15, since his Tata Football Academy days, his India under 17 days. Shubhrata is my number. If Shubhrata needs help, I've told him that. He can get in touch. But I will not force myself onto the AIFF. I've done that in the past. Sometimes they've taken it, like with the under 17 FIFA World Cup preparations with the help of the DFB. I would love to get the DFB involved and say, listen, can we do a similar project to that? Can we get maybe FIFA even involved to help us to chart a path? 100%. I would love to do that. But for that to happen, as I say, the first move needs to come from their side. I will not, because in the current scenario, I'm not pitching for myself on this. Edmund Lardindika signed with East Bengal. Your thoughts? Not the best move. I would have waited. Again, I know it's for financial terms. Yes, makes sense for him. But it is Inter Kashi who gave him a chance. Inter Kashi could potentially also be playing ISL. You know the setup. Maybe it might have been smarter to stay there. That is my opinion. And a few weeks ago when it was announced, I made a video on it. Just scroll through the short videos. You'll see in more detail if you want to, Rohit, what I said about this. Why weren't OCI players called up before 2008 when FIFA and the Indian government allowed it? Who said who allowed it? FIFA stance hasn't changed. My PIO card was sent to FIFA in 2006. So I had a person of Indian origin card that was prior to OCI. That was sent in 2006 to FIFA. And they said it's okay. But for the AIFF and the government of India at the time, it wasn't enough. So therefore, it wasn't possible. Investment in top tier player development, gorging competition, data analytics are not even being mentioned. Women's Euro is a fine example how top nations are working. Shaggy, they're on a different level. But also I feel, that the women's game in general needs to find its own path. Even in Europe, I think a lot of things are just being copied from the men's game. And I see that, when the big clubs here in Germany who didn't have women's teams are doing it, or even a Man U, a Real Madrid, they're doing the same mistakes they've done in the women's game. I hope that the women's game keeps its own flair. Because I also feel that the IWL is going the I League ISL path, right? Because yes, you'll say, oh, it's good that the girls are earning salaries. I'm fine with that. But the salaries are also going up too quickly. The same problem. How much funding is needed to scout U12 players across India and train them for 10 years with top coaching facilities, nutrition, and tournaments to build a world-class national team? That's a theoretical question which doesn't work. If U12 players, I take, let's say, the under-17 World Cup squad, right? Under-17 World Cup squad got the biggest level of exposure for 2.5 years that ever an Indian football team got. They directly thereafter were turned into the Indian Arrows. So they got another season, most of them 2 seasons in the I-League. Some of them went to the ISL. How many have really made it to the top? So if I have a pool of 25 players, if one of them makes it, that's a successful ratio, right? I would have to get in an Indian context, I should be training millions of kids and then try to filter them through, because I will have early starters, late bloomers. For example, very simple. Apuya is a late bloomer. Apuya blossomed in the Indian Arrows team first and then properly at Northeast United. Where are the top players of the World Cup? Where is Komal Thattal? Where is Amarjit Kiam? Where is Dheeraj? A lot of them, right? So you think that somewhere our corporate should invest in teams or regions where football is the thing? Delhi, Pune, Hyderabad was a failure. What if clubs could pull these investors to Northeast or Kerala? Agni, why Northeast is for a corporate difficult? Because we've seen, John Abraham has been struggling for money, since season 1, right? So Northeast financially doesn't make sense. Kerala, on a smaller level, Super League Kerala, 2 of the franchisees are fighting for survival already. So you're saying football is a thing, but finance isn't. You haven't even mentioned Bengal, where Mamata Banerjee, Reliance have helped 3 of the biggest sporting entities in India, in Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, Mohammedan. Mohammedan at the moment is begging again. East Bengal has had 3 different investors. And Mohun Bagan should be doing a puja every day that they've got Sanjeev Goenka at the moment. So that logic of yours doesn't work, right? Hyderabad is a football place. I think Hyderabad FC could work if the Jindals were committed to that place. They aren't, because they want to put it back to Delhi because that's where they're based, right? Pune, the Balewadi is just too far away from the city. That's the reality. Pune FC was one of the best entities created in the I-League besides BFC. What could have been your counterproposal to FSDL if you were in AIFF? I would have to look at the numbers. I don't know what the internal numbers of the AIFF are at the moment, right? It's very clear that Reliance doesn't want to give me 50 crores, right? I think that's clear to me, to you, to all. So I would then say, give me a figure X as a fixed, and on top of that, share of the profits. But show me that there are going to be share of profits. In regard to show me that there are profits from year 1. That would be my point. Very simple. As per the proposal by FSDL on MRA, and if FSL doesn't budge, who is the biggest winner in all of this and biggest loser in terms of money? Do you have any insight if clubs are for or against this very proposal? Anupam, there is no winner or loser in this. FSDL wants to move to an European model where the clubs are stakeholders in the league. Very simple. And that's a good move. You keep AIFF as a part of this, but you absolve them as reliance from potential losses because you say they're a society, so they can't be losing money, right? But they can be part of the profit making. But for me, if I was the AIFF, I would ask Reliance, can you ensure from year one me a minimal amount of profits? Can you ensure that if not, that I at least get something out of this? Because otherwise it doesn't make sense for the AIFF, because they have been living on bigger shoes because they used to get the 50 crores and no questions were asked. And Kushal Das had money saved, na? Where is that money gone? Very simple question. That they've spent it in the last 3 years, right? Because they've overspent. So the question is for the AIFF, do I have to cut down my budgets? Do I have to cut down on my operations to be able to run? And what is the money that FSDL is willing to give me? Because FSDL alone, not forget FSDL, Reliance has spent and lost more than 3,000 crores over the last 15 years. 3,000 crores. So give them at least a little bit of credit on that, right? That is what I always say. Are they right? Are they wrong? On certain things, most probably they're wrong. But give them credit on that. We have money club level, but somewhere right investors may not be working with right clubs. I would see differently. Who's the right investor and who are the right clubs? Is Imami East Bengal a right match made in heaven? You will say as a Mohun Bagan fan, oh, Mr. Goenka, it's great. Mr. Goenka can do it alone, right? Mr. Goenka does not need Mohun Bagan, but Mohun Bagan needs Mr. Goenka, right? So the question is, Mr. Goenka could do the same team with much less money. I think that the team that he has, the same team, he could have done it, a quarter less, maybe at 75, maybe even at 70 crores, and would still, and are the right investors? Do we have the right management? All those questions are there to be asked. No? We need U8s now, not U12s, to catch up the rest of the world. Methamphetamine, I think we need to have U8s, U10s, U12s, because if you want to focus on U8s, the results will come in 20, 25, 30 years. We're not going to be as fast as, let's say, Japan. So we need to be working through these. We need to even work from under 13 to under 18 and try and work on those mistakes in the football or lack of football basics. We need to work across the pyramid from grassroots to youth football. So Jindal Group paid 50 crores plus dues for Hyderabad FC, then making the team from scratch as Delhi based. What if Jindal invested that money to some good ancillary I-League 2 club, help them? Ogni, they wanted an I-League club. AIFF wanted money from them and they didn't want it. For them, the investment made more sense. They thought it made more sense to pick up an ISL team rather than going to the I-League, not sure if you're going to get promoted or not. And then, they didn't want to play the I-League in the end. Apart from FSTF 50 crore, how else can make revenue like how previous regime did? How can football be sold? Ogni, the AIFF makes money, again, from the commercial rights from Reliance. So those 50 crores, as you mentioned, you get grants from FIFA AFC, right? And you were getting money from the government in regard to support for national, national team, and money here and there in regard to coaching licenses, this and that, everything. So it's a little bit coming in here and there. That's it. The AIFF tried to sell the rights outside of the ISL last season, a big zero. So therefore, Indian football at the moment is an unsellable product. I mean, if you Google Indian football, do you think anything good will come up in the first, 10 pages of whatever you get out of Indian football? That's our biggest problem, right? We are in a situation where Indian football is, struggling at an incredible level. Right, 1 hour 31 minutes. Quick reminder, those of you who are watching and who are part of this conversation, do leave a like behind if you're liking. 16 likes only today. I think we can do better. We were in the 30s in the last few days always. Share us with other people to potentially join us in this conversation. And if you want to subscribe, do subscribe. We're still at 2,767 today. Slowly growing towards the 3,000 mark. So I need your support, guys. As I said, also watch the short videos. Today I did something finally in Bengali. Some people said, because I was asked to explain the whole ISL on hold situation, did that yesterday in English, and watch the other videos as well. And thanks as always for your support. In what part of IFS 10 past 10 years went wrong? Like plans, grassroots, brand value. What thought and but fully failed by 2025. Ogni, I said in 2014, and I stick to that, the quality on the field needs to be good for it to be marketable. And that is where the ISL has failed. Period. Right? Simple. There is the overall structure of the clubs, that has not worked. The focus has been on the first team, as we have in a lot of leagues across the world. Yeah. What a joke this is. Discussing the India matches played behind closed doors. Will we leak the tactics as fan if we see match, or will we become coach what there is to agree? Played a closed door friendly. Shanlata, and this shows me, sorry, with all due respect, you don't understand what the idea is. It's not about you as a fan. It's about the opponents in the qualifiers. It's about their analysts looking at those games. You want to try out things. Don't think if you think from a fan perspective, mistake. It is think from a coach's perspective that he wants to try out things and nobody needs to know what he's trying out. Simple. Yes, Mr. Goenka overspread and should be questioned his CEO and legal committee, but he didn't and fans didn't either. Listen, he's fine. I mean, he's turning up when they're winning trophies and this and that and everything. He's fine. I think the interesting part would be if Mohun Bagan finished, let's say, 4th or 5th in the table, then Mr. Goenka would start questioning, right? But if you're spending that much and look at how much the rest of the league is spending, you're going to be at least top 2, no? Perfect match, BFC, Mumbai City, FC Goa, and Takashi, or maybe others. What if Shillong Lajong, Neroka, Kerala gets general group money? See, Shillong Lajong doesn't make sense. Neroka, Manipur is in strive, and Kerala United is owned by a Middle Eastern group. So none of the general, there is no match, right? There is no match. He doesn't want to. Mumbai City is owned by City Football Group, majority stakeholder. BFC is owned by the Jindals. FC Goa is owned by Nirav Modi. Interkashi has its own owner. So none of the clubs you're mentioning needs the Jindal money or is a match for them. Even no score update, AIFF, no one tries. Someone must at least update score. This is absolute nonsense. We are not able to see score or match on our own. I guess, as you said, Shanlata, you might not like it, but it makes sense from a, that you are putting it out. That's the AIFF thing, AIFF is not in situation to negotiate anymore. Negotiation is when both sides have something to offer, but the AIFF is only putting its hands to accept arms. Yeah, that's the problem. And that's where the AIFF has put itself now. FSDL failed to see that nationalism sells in India. They should have focused on improving the national team via grassroots or lobbying for temporary passport views, strong team, high views. Yeah, could it work? Would it work? Nobody knows. This whole, even via grassroots, even if, let's say, the clubs would have done grassroots right from 2014, you would have not had results today, right? So grassroots results is something for 20, 25 years, in my opinion, in Indian context. This is something which we need to keep in mind. So therefore, that is something very tricky in an Indian football context, because we have to remember that how things are. So yeah, that's the reality. Yes, sir, future plans are long ahead. If you were in AFF president shoes, what can be done in the next 3 years for men's team? 3-year plan. Only OCI players. Simple. That's the only solution. There is no other solution for the Indian national teams. Thank you for taking all the questions. Appreciate it. Therefore, I'm heading out. Catch you later. Take care. Anupam, take care as well. Thank you for joining in. Shaggy says, really appreciate that you are putting out content on women's football. There is small change in the psyche that happens in the ecosystem. Shaggy, I hope so. Only problem that I see is that when I'm putting out, content, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Seems like in the last 2 days that the women's content was getting quite a bit of hit. I'm still disappointed that my emotional live reaction, which I put a short video out there, which I get goosebumps every time I see it. That is not really caught the net by storm, but hey, that's it. Yeah. And thanks to Roshan for doing what he does for women's football. Diligently, much respect to you both. Thanks, Shaggy. As I said, I'm a little busy in the coming days, but I'll mostly come back to Roshan and to you, maybe to do either a live or So I'll slowly chat to you guys. People saying FSL is making big money don't know the ground realities. I've seen ISL live streams in Hotstar, barely 500,000 views, even for senior teams with that reach. What profits can you expect? Forget profits. I said they have lost 3,000 crores. Period. Anyone who's saying, and I don't know where you're watching, but I don't know where you're getting your numbers. And again, Blue is asking, ISL live streams aren't great, but it's not 500,000 either. Exactly. I mean, we're still talking in lakhs. So that these are the realities of things. So we have to work around it. It's not easy. It can be complex. It can be complicated. But yeah, we can only wish. We can only hope for the best, and therefore that is something which is happening. And yeah, so therefore for me, that's something which I hope we can build in the right way. The opponent can still analyze the tactics through recent past matches. What effort does one friendly do in sealing the tactics? Shanlata, you have a different opinion. I'm fine with that. The coach has a different opinion and he has to take a call. And it's not one, but both coaches discussed and decided it. Right? It's still a friendly. It's a closed door friendly. It's their decision. You like it or don't like it, it actually doesn't matter. Sorry. Right? The coach in a club or in a national team has to decide what he thinks is right. So therefore, for me, yeah, Yaki, that's yours. So what do you think about MLA proposal? Is it good for clubs or not? It's good. It's a way forward. Sir, ISL can happen. What's your prediction? Orithro, I said months ago that we would come to this situation. I was the only one. I go back to a lot of things that I've said over the last few years. And in this case, the same thing. I said, I believe, I fear that ISL might not happen. And even friends of mine who work in the ISL said, no. It will surely happen. There's no doubt about it. The ISL will happen. And therefore, I say again, to me, if you ask me today, I said this earlier today, I said it yesterday as well, 60-40, ISL not happening. But I hope and I wish the ISL happens. How are you feeling through the whole system is going to collapse most probably, and we can just sadly watch? Blue, I think it might be needed. If I like it or not, most probably we need a collapse. In 2022, sorry, I tried to avoid the collapse of the system. I worked actively to not get us banned by FIFA. People believed we are India, whoa, FIFA, this, that, oh, who cares, blah, blah, blah. And then, again, as we, India does get a lot of slaps left, right, and center in sports. Outside of cricket, nobody cares who we are because, sorry, we're a non-starter. And at this moment, I think it needs to collapse. I think the Supreme Court needs to take a wrong decision for at least someone or the other to wake up and realize, oh my God, you know what? We are messing this even up more. Reality. So therefore, for me, if you ask me, today, as we speak on July 13, 2025, yes, it is like you're driving a fast car, you see a wall approaching over there, you're driving at 200, 300, I don't even know, and you think, you know what, I'll drive through the wall, and you're going to bang into it. Or the Titanic is going to hit the iceberg, or whatever example you want to take, right? So therefore, for me, this is the brutal reality. What do you think of PSG gameplay? They press a lot. Do our players have enough lungs to do that, and will that be effective? No. For press, you need to know when to press, how to press, have the physical stamina. Our players, forget it. The current team, best system, wait and watch, try and play on the counter, as the women's played, honestly. Play the long ball, God is with you, wish for the best. Most likely, what would happen at the end? I think we're going to get a FIFA ban. And then I wish we get a normalization committee to sort certain things out, that there is outside influence to take care of Indian football. But I hope it doesn't take too long that we do not play the Asian Cup. That's a danger which I think nobody realizes, that the next big thing for us is the AFC Women's Asian Cup in March. And then hope that things sort out and we get the right people in. If Supreme Court takes a decision and then, we have an election, it's going to be the mess with someone else in charge. I don't see anyone good standing. We are not phoenix bird that comes from ashes. Do you think we will rise from that collapse and someone will give the right pathway to this country in football, who has the power, who has intent to do that? I wish, but Goku, I've realized, and again, with all due respect, in today's Indian football world, I only trust myself. I'm the only one who said this will happen, that will happen, that will happen. Everyone said, no, it will not happen. Right? So therefore, if you ask me, yeah, I have only trust in one person. That's Arunfoot Chaudhary. I do not trust anybody in the system to be able to do the things that are needed, because they're not competent enough, they're not intelligent enough, or they're not capable. We have a system of fools trying to run Indian football, and that's why we are where we are. With all stars aligned, ISL is going to happen this year now. With no delegation takes away the edge from bottom table teams. Fight for survival. What's your opinion? Shumit, forget the relegation discussion. The ISL is not happening at this moment, right? What edge you want? Is it detrimental to the MLS? Is it hurting the A-League in Australia? Does it hurt other leagues which CPL? Mexico has gotten rid of relegation. Has it hurt their leagues? What? Is that your biggest? Is that okay? The people who are fighting for relegation in the ISL are now fighting against relegation in the I-League. It's a sheer comedy. We have a system. I said 10 team, make it closed, let it run for 5 years, and then we can have a discussion. We don't have enough players for a league of 13, 14, 16, 18, 20. There are people who are saying it's going to be a 20-team league. What? You want to reactivate Baichung Bhutia, Ranjit Singh, and that whole generation? Do you want to get Vision to play or what? We don't have players for a 13-team league. When will people wake up to that reality in Indian football? It is not the competition edge of the bottom teams. Mohammedan Sporting played an ISL without being an ISL level team. Period. How long we go down in this region, or someone like you who tried to stop ban last time is now willing to ban it? Blue, for me, it's very simple. I have warned. I see warning signs. I said what I said. Look at the video 2 years ago with Rahul. There are videos in my timeline. Look at the old videos where I asked the question, right? But people are going to come up and say, oh, we need this, we need that, and we're not ready for those things. The reality is, after 29 years of club football at a national level, India still has not found its right structure. The NFL, the I-League is a failed product. Right? Let's be very clear about that. Whatever people tell you, it's a failed product, which it wasn't a few years ago until Sunanda Dhar was running it. So in the last 3 years, we have gone down to the gutters. But hey, so I feel, let them ban us, normalization committee put in, give all the power to the normalization committee, get the right guys in, ideally an Indian origin guy or a foreigner, and let's kick some ass. Clean up the system. That's the only way. And a lot of the people who are roaming around, get rid of them. Only chance. Otherwise, this mess will continue. We are not ready for relegation. We don't have a well-cemented league at the moment. And as you, MLS A-League are fine without that. Yeah. I think we need more foreigners in ISL teams. It will enhance the quality and also reduce some losses of clubs. Arindam, the foreigners are even costlier. You're paying 5, 7, 10 times to the foreigners to come to India. Right? The foreigners are even costlier than your local players. I think that the 4 foreigners and 7 Indians rule is the right one. I think it's the right one because it gives the level of exposure. But the problem is, what? You want 6 foreigners? You want 11 foreigners? I don't even know what people want. We need to be very clear what we want and how we want to make it work. That is my concern at this moment in time. Right? Because I think, and even reducing it to, let's say, 3 makes no sense. If I've got 3 foreigners, your number 1 striker and your number 1 centre back will be a foreigner for sure. Our leagues have failed due to poor commercialization. Our leagues have failed due to poor commercialization, and we can keep coming up with new structures and none will work until the league is marketed properly. I don't think even the marketing is the problem. I think as long as the broadcaster is not willing to put money on the table, we could have a league with the perfect marketing concept, with the perfect marketing. But if a broadcaster is not willing to give you even 1 rupee for that league, it will not work. The IPL worked. Lalit Modi can talk as much as he wants. Lalit Modi could have the best concept. If Sony didn't throw money at the IPL at that time, because they were launching the Sony bouquet of channels, the IPL would not be what it is today. Let's be honest about that. It is television money which has enabled all of this. Everything else is a nice conversation. Sponsors will not be able, fans with ticket revenues, with merchandise, whatever, will not be able. Television rights. And at the moment, we look at the I-League, the clubs paid money to be put onto Sony last season. This is something which a lot of people who are defending the I-League are forgetting. If the I-League was so great, Sony would be paying money. Sony didn't want to put it on. They said, give us money, then we'll do it. Reality. Chelsea or PSG prediction? PSG. If Chelsea win, it's an upset. PSG over the last 6-7 months have been incredible, to say the least. Incredible how they've developed, getting rid of their superstars and actually being better. Luis Enrique, take a bow. I think PSG will get it, yeah. So with that, 1 hour, 50 minutes on this Sunday. Thanks everybody for joining in. Yeah, a lot of stuff that we covered today. Tomorrow I'm unlikely to do a live. I'll try. Let's see. Tomorrow I'll release something on the women's, on the preparation that the AIFF have done, and yeah, keep on supporting Indian football. Like, share, subscribe this channel. I need your support, guys. We need to grow. I need an army of people behind me. So can you put more pressure, right? If I've got the numbers behind me, I can also create a little bit more of a steer. And Shalnata says, agree with you, sir. Everyone has its opinion. It's coach's call. You're right. Sorry, was not able to understand it. No problem. That's why we're talking. That's why I'm trying to explain it to you. You're willing to listen. You're willing to understand. Brilliant. That is what, this kind of an interaction should be. Thank you. Take care, says Mentamframin. Not only to you, but all of you. As I said, watch the other stuff. If you're watching later, leave a like behind, share it, subscribe to the channel. Please help me to grow and watch the short videos. As I said, tomorrow I'll be putting out something on the Indian women's team and the AIFF plans of that. And I'll be back on Tuesday evening with another live. Thank you. Good night.